Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Better Talk English. I'm Victoria, and today we're talking about something very relatable and fun. Hi, William. How are you doing today?
Hi, Victoria. I'm doing great, thanks. I'm actually feeling a bit relaxed today because I had a quiet weekend. It gave me time to recharge.
That sounds nice because weekends can be very different for people. Some prefer calm and quiet, while others want energy and activity. It really depends on the person.
Exactly, and I've noticed that people often have strong opinions about this. Some people love staying at home, while others feel bored if they don't go out. It's interesting how different it can be.
Yes, and that brings us to today's idea. What does a perfect weekend actually look like? Is it staying in and relaxing or going out and doing something exciting?
That's a great question because there is no single answer. For me, it depends on my mood and energy. Sometimes I want to stay in and sometimes I want to go out.
Same here, and I think many people feel that way. After a busy week, staying in can feel very comfortable. It gives you a chance to slow down.
Yes, staying in can be very relaxing. You can watch movies, cook something nice, or just rest. It feels safe and peaceful.
Exactly, and many people describe that feeling as cozy. It means warm, comfortable, and relaxing. It's a very common word in English.
I like that word because it really describes the atmosphere. Sitting at home with a warm drink and a movie feels very cozy. It's a perfect way to relax.
Yes, but on the other hand, going out has its own advantages. You can meet friends, explore places, and do something different. It brings energy into your weekend.
That's true, because staying in too much can feel repetitive. Sometimes you need a change of environment. Going out helps you feel more alive.
Exactly, and going out doesn't always mean something big. It can be something simple, like going to a cafe or taking a walk. Even small activities can change your mood.
That's a good point, because many people think going out must be exciting or expensive. But even a simple plan can feel refreshing. It's about the experience.
Yes, and it also depends on who you spend time with. Being with the right people can make any activity enjoyable. That's an important factor.
I completely agree, because good company changes everything. Even a simple conversation can make your weekend feel special. It's not always about the activity itself.
Exactly. And sometimes people feel pressure to have a perfect weekend. They think they must do something impressive or productive, but that's not always necessary.
Yes, that pressure can actually make weekends stressful. Instead of relaxing, people start comparing their plans to others. That takes away the enjoyment.
So maybe the real question is not staying in or going out. Maybe it's about what makes you feel good personally. That's more important.
I like that idea because it makes weekends more flexible. You don't need to follow a rule. You just choose what works for you at that moment.
Let's make this a bit more personal. If you had to choose only one, staying in or going out, what would you pick most of the time? I'm curious about your real preference.
Honestly, I would probably choose staying in most weekends. After a busy week, I feel like I need quiet time to recover. It helps me feel balanced again.
That makes sense, especially if your weekdays are very active. But don't you ever feel like you're missing out on experiences? Sometimes going out creates memorable moments.
That's true, and I do think about that sometimes. If I stay in too often, my weekends start to feel the same. It becomes a bit repetitive.
Exactly, and that's where balance becomes important. Maybe the perfect weekend is not one extreme or the other. It could be a mix of both.
I like that idea because it feels realistic. You can have a calm morning at home and then go out later. That way you get both relaxation and activity.
Yes, and that combination can feel very satisfying. You don't feel tired, but you also don't feel bored. It creates a good rhythm.
Let me share a small story from last weekend. I stayed home all Saturday, just relaxing and watching movies, but on Sunday I went out with friends for dinner.
That sounds like a perfect balance. You had time to rest, but also time to socialize. How did you feel after that weekend?
I felt really refreshed, actually. The quiet time helped me recharge, and the social time made me feel connected. It was a good mix.
That's a great example of how different activities serve different needs. Staying in gives you rest, while going out gives you energy in another way. Both are important.
Exactly, and I think many people forget that. They think they must choose one style, but in reality, both can exist together.
Let's try a small role play. Imagine I ask you about your weekend at work on Monday. You want to sound natural and relaxed. How would you answer?
I might say, I had a pretty relaxed weekend. I stayed in on Saturday, but I went out with friends on Sunday evening. That sounds simple and natural.
Yes, that's a great answer. It's clear, balanced, and easy to understand. You also show both sides of your weekend.
And if someone asks for more details, I can add a bit more. Maybe I say, we went to a small restaurant and just talked for a few hours. That keeps the conversation going.
Exactly. And that's how real conversations work. You start simple, then expand if needed. You don't need to say everything at once.
I think this also helps learners feel more confident. They don't need long, perfect answers. Just a few natural sentences are enough.
Yes, and expressing your opinion is also important. You can say, I prefer quiet weekends, or I enjoy going out sometimes. That adds personality to your speech.
That's true, because language is not just about information. It's about expressing who you are. And weekends are a great topic for that.
I think what we're really talking about is lifestyle, not just weekends. The way you spend your weekend reflects how you manage your energy and priorities. It's a bigger picture.
That's a very good point, because weekends are like a reset button. They prepare you for the next week. If you don't use them well, you can feel tired again very quickly.
Exactly. And some people recharge by being alone, while others recharge by being around people. Neither is right or wrong. It just depends on personality.
Yes, and understanding yourself is very important here. If you force yourself to go out when you need rest, you won't enjoy it. The same is true in the opposite situation.
That's why the idea of a perfect weekend can be misleading. It creates unnecessary pressure. People start thinking they must follow a certain lifestyle.
And that often leads to comparison. You see others posting exciting activities and you feel like your weekend was boring, but that's not always the reality.
Exactly. Social media shows only one side. It doesn't show the need for rest time or quiet time, but those moments are just as important.
I think a healthy mindset is to focus on how you feel, not what it looks like. If your weekend helps you feel better, then it's a good weekend. It's that simple.
Yes, and that's a great way to reduce stress. You stop trying to meet external expectations. You start making choices that work for you.
And this also makes conversations more natural. When you talk about your weekend, you're sharing something real. That makes your English more personal and meaningful.
Exactly, and people connect more with honesty than with perfection. Saying I just relaxed at home is completely normal. It doesn't need to sound impressive.
That's very true, because real communication is about connection. It's not about showing something extraordinary. It's about sharing your experience.
And from a language perspective, this topic is very useful. You can practice describing activities, expressing opinions, and sharing feelings. It's very practical.
Yes, and it's a topic that comes up very often in conversations. People ask about weekends all the time, so it's important to feel comfortable talking about it.
Exactly. And the more you practice these small conversations, the more natural your English becomes. You don't need complex topics to improve. Simple topics are powerful.
I think that's an important reminder for learners. You don't need difficult vocabulary to sound natural. You just need to use simple language confidently.
All right, I think this is a great moment to start wrapping up. We explored different ideas, personal preferences, and useful language. That's a strong combination.
Yes, and hopefully now the idea of a perfect weekend feels more flexible. There is no single answer, only what works for you. That's what really matters.
If you take one thing from today, remember this. Speak naturally about your real life. That's how you build confidence and fluency. Keep it simple and honest.
Thank you for listening to Better Talk English. Keep practicing, stay consistent, and enjoy using English in everyday conversations. See you in the next episode.
Goodbye, everyone, and see you next time.